everyone. This is Liz checking in here with you today on a specific topic that came up this past week. And I thought that if I had this kind of feedback from my team, that maybe you do as well as an owner or as a person on your team. So there's a quote that also has been really funny to me in the last few weeks. I have heard this quote 3 times and I have heard it 3 different ways. And you will know the quote, and yet you won't know where it came from or who said it correctly or not correctly or whatever. So it's the quote, everybody overestimates what you can do in a day and underestimates what you can do in a month. Okay. And that was spoken by Matthew Kelly. And then our beloved Bill Gates, people overestimate what they can get done in a year and underestimate what they can get done in 5 years. And I have heard 10 years. So it kind of depends on who you listen to. So make up your own, whatever works for you. Here's another one. Bill Gates said another time, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So depends on what he ate for breakfast or how he felt that day. We all switch stuff up as we go through the years and change and learn. So I want to speak to the owners first. If you're an owner of a business and you've heard all these things, you're in for the long game, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and you hear these quotes and you hear people say them and you're like, okay, I'm good. I started this business and I started it from nothing and I am building it up to be as big as I can be, or maybe you have an end goal in mind and you plan to sell once you've built it to a certain amount of revenue. Okay, that's fine. But along the way, now you're hearing things like, it's a big deal now, Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. And in his book, Buy Back Your Time, he's in a SaaS industry. So he has software, he's built multiple softwares, and that was his gig. So the book is a lot about that, which you might not care to listen to. But if you are new to business and you listen to a book like that, you're going to get really frustrated and you're going to get way derailed and out of line if you try to implement the things that are in that book. So he talks about buying back your time. So you get a certain level in your business and you are just swamped with minutia. You start handing off all your small things. You get a personal assistant. You have a few people on your team. And if you guys are in the field, you hand off your equipment maintenance, routing, dispatching. Little by little, you're handing off things to others. But even the bigger things, as you get along in your career, you're dealing with them in the business. But if you think of all the other tasks that you do in your life, that you don't have to do. So my theory on this is that if I have done the task before and I've mastered the skill and I no longer need that skill to make money or make my goals or where I want to be, what am I doing it for? And you can only come to that place when you've made a substantial amount of money and are starting to become in a more financially secure position. So what he says in the book is he takes all these areas of life. So he has a house manager. This house manager travels with him and his family. He has somebody who makes their food. So the house manager takes care of all the things in the house, the stuff for the kids, the cleaning, the dry cleaning, all of the yard work and all of these things. They are the house manager. So things like washing dishes, you would never do again. Things like grocery shopping, you would never do again. You wouldn't prepare your own meals. You would not clean your house. You would not do your laundry. And all of you are thinking right now, that is so ridiculous. I would never pay anyone to do it. But what happens in a situation like this? So when Mike and I were building the business, we're talking 14 hours a day. There is no one else to do the work. So we were building it from absolutely nothing. We had to do everything. We were building systems. We were running teams. We were learning as we went. And I remember we have a Costco here in Washington, and others of you in the southern states probably have Sam's Club. But I would rush to leave the office, even though I wasn't done, and try to get to Costco because they closed at 8 p.m. I would be so exhausted, and I still had this whole thing to do with the routing and dispatching. Just after wrapping up the crews for the day and getting them out of there, I still had a ton to do. And I remember like sitting in the Costco parking lot, so anxious and so overwhelmed and completely exhausted. And Costco, I don't know if it's like that at Sam's, but there's a massive lines, and they close at 8 p.m. and it's 7:30, quarter to 8. I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm so anxious, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? I could be at the office working, doing something that's actually generating income. And here I am stressed out that I had to leave that activity and come and do grocery shopping. It's a skill that I've learned. I never need to do it again to make money, to get anywhere in life, to continue to build what Mike and I have started to build together. So I got Instacart. Instacart here has Safeway, Fred Meyer, Costco, and all kinds of things. And I got Instacart. I pay a fee once a year, and I pay for my groceries. I put it in my phone in the app, and it is at my door when I get home. Also for the command center, I order all our items online. What I can't order on Amazon, I get at other locations on the web. If I can't get it on Amazon and I need it sooner, all the supplies for the office, the food, the snacks, the coffee cups, all of this stuff, it's coming from Instacart. So in my Instacart account, I have one for the Bellingham shop. I have one for the command center. I have one for my personal, all under different cards, one account. I pay for it once a year. It has different addresses in it. That's just the groceries. So one by one in Dan Martell's life, he started having somebody else do these things. And when you're young in your business, you have young children typically, and you're starting this business where everything is grinding and hard, and mainly because you haven't learned it yet and you're still learning it. Let's say you follow Mike Andy's content. He's always coming out with systems and processes as he experiences it. He is documenting everything, and then he's teaching you how to do it. So you're struggling through, trying to figure it out, trying to implement what you're learning from him. And then you've got to leave that and deal with all this stuff at home. And you don't have the money to buy back your time. So if you read a book like Buy Back Your Time Now, you would be so frustrated because you would think, I've got to be there. I've got to manifest that. I've got to do that now. And that's not the case. You're not there yet. It's going to take a long time. And my thumbnail and title of this is called Dedicate a Decade. And the reason I want to bring that up is because you can't look at people that are 10 years down the line and expect to be doing that right now. Even your personal growth. You look at people that have spent days and hours and years changing and growing and going through transitions in life, going through marriage, young children, all their kids' school years, running businesses at the same time, going through hardship, illnesses. You can't take away those experiences from people and the value they bring to everything they touch in life. So look to that and learn from them, and then use all of the things they did well as stepping stones. All the things they didn't do well, don't let it stumble you. Make better choices from other people. Let the people that are further ahead than you be your mentors, be your role models, not people on the same level you're on, people that are where you want to go. So that would be for owners. What I would share is to please not read things that are way above your level. Listen to podcasts that are way above your level. And I don't mean where your level of intelligence or anything like that, but the stage where you aren't yet. And we listen to these Motoversity where you can hear all this motivation stuff to get your butt in gear, to get all this stuff done, get out of bed and work out and be disciplined, and listen to Jocko and all these other Andrew Huberman and all these scientists and people that are so into their health, investing, budgeting, people that have built these big businesses. And you think, oh my word, I have got to have this mentality and be in this place and be in this place of health. And you're not there yet. So that's why they have podcasts. That's why they are where they are and even have something to share, is because they've been through this stuff. And so it's a dichotomy, because you want to listen to people that are way beyond you, but listen with wisdom. And don't think that you're going to think, oh, I'm listening to that because that is what I'm working towards. But I'm not listening to that because I'm going to beat myself up because I can't manifest that yet. You're not there. You need more time. And in our personal lives, you'll hear somebody that goes to the gym. They go to the gym once and they're like, oh, I'm so sore. And this workout was so hard. And I did leg day. Don't skip leg day. And all this stuff about their workout, their diet, their nutrition. And I get that when you're a beginner, you need somebody to talk to and to build you up and pump you up. But you will find there are people that just do it quietly. And here's the reason why. This is the way I think, is that I don't want to be 80 years old and still struggling with addiction. I don't want to be 80 years old and still dealing with an anger problem, or still can't navigate through difficult things with my relationships in life. I don't want to be 80 years old and sitting there talking about other people that have money and saying, that must be nice. No, I want to be the person who they're talking about. And I don't want to be 80 years old and be still trying to, oh, I wish I could lose weight, or, oh, you make it look so easy and I wish it was that easy for me. And, oh, I don't want to do this diet because it's just so hard. I just feel so hungry all the time. They'll hear about a workout and they'll think nobody should work out like that. Nobody should eat like that. And they just sit there like critical and all of that. What I want to be is I want to have that dialed in and squared away now. You know you need to be healthy. You know you need to eat right. You know that discipline equals freedom. And you know that you need to be healthy and strong. You know that without health and strength, you can't be what you need to be for your children, your spouse, your family, and your business. And so guess what? You just got to get out of bed and do the workout. And this is where I say, give it a decade. Do it for a decade. Get out of bed, do your workout, eat your nutrition stuff. And in a decade, you can look back for a minute and see where you are. You can complain or whine or I did all that and it was so hard. But no matter what, it didn't hurt you to do that. Yeah, you spend a lot of money. I spend a lot of money on health and nutrition and being fit. But I realized that I want it dialed in and squared away and get on with my life. I want to get up in the morning and do my hair and get dressed and not think about how I look the rest of the day. It's get it dialed in and square it away and then go out there and live. I don't want to be self-conscious. Like we all have stuff that we have complexes about. You might have complexes because you can't lose weight. And it is extremely difficult to get fit and lose weight. It's so hard, but at least be better than you were yesterday. If you feel like you can't do nothing, do a little more than you did yesterday, but give it a decade. Don't think that you're going to sit around and talk about how great you are and how accomplished you are. Honestly, just do it quietly. Do it in the background. I recently did a Spartan. And I never talk about myself at work. None of my employees know anything about my personal life, what I do, because guess what? It doesn't matter. They want to come to work and have a good job. They don't care what I think, what I feel, who I'm married to, anything about my children. They don't know how many kids I have, how many grandchildren I have. Yes, I have 5 with one on the way. They don't know any of that because I never talk about myself. Now, there is a caveat to that you do need to be personal. You need to have some relatability to people. And so I share when I think it's necessary for them to know something about me. But all this while I was training and I didn't talk about it. And so I thought, you should lead by example and you should continue to do difficult things. And so I thought, when I'm done with it, when I'm successful, after I've trained forever and never talked about it, and I go do the thing, I'll take some pictures, I'll post it on our break room chat, and then they see that I did it. The feedback I got from them blew me out of the water. It was like, we didn't even know you worked out. We didn't know this about you. We didn't know you could even do something like that. And it causes them to, I won't even tell you some of the things they said about, because it's a little bit embarrassing, about like almost an idolization or, and I just mean that because they're so blown away that somebody they know that never talks about themselves did that without ever talking about themselves, without saying, oh, I'm so sore, I can hardly sit down today because of all the jump squats and lunges and burpees I did yesterday. They never heard that. They just saw this professional showing up. So I say all that to say, just hop in there, just, get in the harness and get ready to grind, and just grind. Don't be a whiny baby. You can be a whiny baby and give yourself 5 minutes to whine, and then you got to stop drinking wine, and then you got to press on. So that is something I always think about when I hear older people talking about life as with so many regrets, but they're not calling them regrets. So I would say to the owners to listen to things ahead of you, watch things ahead of you, but don't judge yourself by stages you're not in yet. And now the next part would be to employees. And this really came up for me and hit me hard in the last, not this past week, but the week before at the end of the week, because we have events at Augusta, big events every year. We have big events on our teams. And as time goes on and you build your teams more, there's like layers of all these people and all these things that you want people to do, to be. You're trying to inspire them to rise to another level, give them opportunities. And I have found that over time that we really move people up fast. But that wasn't the case for us. So when Mike and I started, when I started with him, he had 50 customers. He had 1 crew in the field. And the day he hired me, that same week, he hired another guy. So we had those 2 guys in the field. Mike did all the estimates. I did all the office work. And we also did materials delivery. So we had a little tiny shop and we had multiple kinds of rock, mulch, dirt, etc. And I was hired one day and was on a tractor the next day. I was still working night shift at the hospital to get my last 2 weeks done, and on a tractor the next day running an office, having zero clue what I was doing. So talk about being having panic all the time, trying to load these vehicles, these sweet trucks with product. It was hard. And so I embraced the suck. It was more the terror, sheer terror that kept me going. But I learned a ton, and we messed up and made a lot of mistakes so that all the people coming after us don't have to make them. We were able to make mistakes with our team that we know, okay, we're never going to replicate that, or man, that worked awesome. Let's implement that and train others to do it. But what I want to convey is that when you hire somebody, and all of the business owners will know this and struggle with this, and then you're going to struggle with it as an employee too, when there are things happening in the company and you wish you could be a part of them, but you're left behind doing the grunt work, doing the field work. It doesn't seem fair that anyone ahead of you or in a higher rank, we would say, gets to do other things, gets to go to lunch with the boss, gets to have more privileges, blah, blah, blah. Now they're a leader and they get more privileges, you would say, or perks. We are now entering into this coming year, our 7th year for our landscape conference summit. We've been calling it different things each year. But when Mike first started it, he did his first one by himself. He did the music, the sound, all of the food. He arranged all of the stuff. He did all of that, and he was the speaker. He had 60 people come to the first one. Then he had Josh, who had been in our field team, and he became his camera guy. So then Josh turned off and on the music, and Josh took all the pictures and the video. And then we had somebody that was on our team at the gym, and she came over and helped get people in and all of that. Guess where I was? I was stuck at the office because we didn't have help yet. We were too young in our business to have office assistants or help or any such thing. And so I had to make sure all the crew was done for the day, all the route and dispatch was done, and then come and help and meet the people and the attendees and try to help Mike and such. Then the next year, I get there, I get everybody registered, and they're coming in, got double the people this time. There's a couple of us doing the work. Got Josh still there. No one else still. Mike's doing all the stuff up on stage, and it's all like coming from his brain. We're not giving much feedback yet. It's just all his vision, and we're making it happen. And guess what happened to me? I'm running snow routes 32 hours straight. And then when I had to get over there, I just took my laptop and went there and kept running the snow route. And some of these guys were new hires. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know. I was trying to, we don't do pay for performance in the winter or on snow routes because we want them to take their time and not rush. And so I'd have 2 guys standing around, and I'm trying to tell them, okay, you're going to shovel, you're going to plow, you're going to salt. And they were not experienced enough to do all this. And the problem was, you run out of people when you run crews that long, and they're exhausted. It's getting dangerous. And so we were doing all night. So I would stay at the shop all night, be there to get, things ready at the conference, go back to the shop, work at the shop, get all the crew out, come back to the conference, run the crew from my laptop while we're greeting people, while I'm making sure Mike's on stage and he has food and a drink and making sure that he doesn't collapse. And that is how it was. And it was so frustrating that I couldn't be there to help him. And in the beginning stages, and you guys all know this, you just do what you got to do. You get in there and make it happen. But it would make me mad that I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be supporting him and helping him. And I am stuck here in the trenches. As time went on, I was able to get an office assistant, a little more help, have somebody in the field that could run the crews at least, and just have that one person communicating with me, and was able to. Now, 9 years later, I have a complete team at Command Center. The shop in Bellingham, our corporate location where we do lawn care, et cetera, has their own general manager. So I've worked through all those stages, all the way to leaving there, handing it off to Lee to Marcus down the line till we have Corey now. And then I am at the Command Center. I went to Command Center and I'm doing that. So that whole business is done for me. And I've moved on to this other thing. But as I've moved to this other thing, I'm building teams and layers under me. And at a certain point, you realize Mike can't do this certain thing anymore. His time is so valuable, and he only has his own human capacity that he can't do that. So we take something away from him, and I take it on my plate. I take it off my plate and I start giving it to other people, the heavy things on my plate, so I can be more for him. Every business has transitions and seasons, and the way we lead and all of that changes over time. So it's never going to be stagnant. Hopefully not, if you're really trying to get somewhere. So what I heard the other week was, if we do this thing next year, this big thing we're planning to do that we've never done, in addition to the summit for owners of Augusta, this person, this GM, who's only been there for not even 2 full years, they're going to be so hurt that they were not at this owners event. And I just was like, whoa. Why would they be there? It's for owners. And a GM would think, well, I built the company. It's because of me that the owner is making money. 100%. But you're not the one who poured money in when the GM, maybe a GM wasn't doing well, or the company wasn't doing well. You weren't the one that the owner was putting $100,000 in to try to save the business. He's not expressing that to his very own money. You're not taking into account all those things, because it's an employee mentality, and employees are always going to think about themselves, obviously, which is okay. That's fine. They're an employee. But don't think, this is just encouragement to employees and to GMs, don't think you deserve the status of where the owner is. It's an exchange of value. He gave you a job. You're doing the job. The company is benefiting from your work, but that's what you're supposed to do. I've had employees that are angry that I did not give them credit for something publicly. And I'll just deviate here a second. I'm an employee and I work for a company, and I'm supposed to make things happen. If you're making widgets, you're supposed to make widgets on your job. That is your job. You're supposed to make widgets, and you get paid for making widgets. It's your job. Every single thing you do is to move the ball down the field and help the company grow. That's why you have a business. And if the business didn't exist and that owner wasn't doing what he was doing and running it smart and building good systems, guess what? You wouldn't have a job. So everything I do is supposed to make the company better. It's supposed to make the company money. That's why we have businesses. So this employee, this GM, he doesn't even know, that he was in the picture. But my point is, GMs and employees are, and I am an employee, so I can tell you from experience, you're going to feel angry, you're going to feel jealous, and you are going to hate that you made all this money for the company. You're the one who worked hard, and now you don't get to go to this event, or you don't get to be part of it. I've heard people say, oh, I'm the one who does all the work and they get all the credit. Of course they do, but you got money. You got money for doing the job. That's how you get places. And then you do your job so well and bring so much value and bring so much revenue in that you get moved on to something else. If you're just a clock puncher, you're not going to get anywhere very fast, and people won't recognize that you're of value unless you bring a lot of value. So when that was brought up, the person who brought it up, they just said, I think I would need to talk to that employee and that GM to prep them, because I think that they're going to be really offended when that happens. And I said, they're not an owner. Why would they be offended? And not only that, let's say the event wasn't just for owners and it was for other people that were there, high-level people that have moved themselves up in the company. Don't feel jealous. Well, you will feel jealous. So let me just tell you how to handle that. And that's what I have helped employees think through and to recognize. And sometimes they even start calling themselves things, or they might say, I'm the head of HR, or I am a manager here, and no one's ever given them that title. Just do your job. And I've had people be completely out of line. And I've had to say, nobody gave you nobody gave you the title of coach, manager, supervisor. Do your job. Do the job that you have and be 100%. How can I make things better for you? What can I do for you? Let me help you do your job better. And not be telling people they should do this and should do that and they need to do this. That is managing, I suppose. But we don't want to be managers. We want to be leaders. We want to be guides and help people get better. So when I have felt those things, and I have probably struggled with that more than most, because I am working for someone who is extremely gifted, and they've been gifted since they were a child. There may be one in 10 people I'll meet like that in my whole life. I feel honored to work for Mike, and he is gifted more than anybody in my small sphere that I know. He's the most gifted. Now we've met people that have been an influence on him, Alex, Layla, Dr. Kashi, who we spent time with. There's people like broadening out of that, but I wouldn't know them unless it was for Mike. So unless we had built this together, and I am a vital part of that, he wouldn't be where he is without me. And I have to recognize that it's an exchange of value. I was paid for all the work I've done to get us where we are. I was paid for the work I've done to get him where he is. He is where he is partly because of me. And so I can't be jealous that it is his name on everything. He takes credit for everything I do. No one knows what I do. I'm in the background, but I'm making it possible for him to be on that stage. I'm making it possible for him to be out there making content and not having to worry about Command Center or anything else in all his businesses. He can just say, take care of that, and he knows it's going to be done. It's still an exchange of value. So what you have to do as an employee or manager, whatever position you're in, is to put things in categories. So when you're at work, you're going to understand that every minute you're there, you are giving to the company. It's not your time. You're getting paid for that, which is why you shouldn't be on your cell phone unless you're on your break, which is why you shouldn't be just standing in the lunchroom talking to people. Seems innocuous. It is noticed. But when you are like managing your time well, moving from task to task, that will all be noticed, and you'll be moved up in the company and make more money. But compartmentalize things. I am this person with my family, my relationships, my place in the world, but this job does not define me because I'm not the owner. It's the owner's gig. It's the owner's thing. So I am my person sovereignly with my family outside of my job. And then when I clock in, I'm giving my time to the job. It's not my time, but I'm getting paid for that time. Okay, I'm going to work hard all day. I'm going to do my best for this company. I'm going to get paid well. I'm going to work so hard that my efforts are noticed, and I'm just taking care of things and getting them done, not bringing attention to myself, but I'm just doing my work. Then when I clock out, I walk away. Not everybody can do that. Owners can't do that. Liz Neighbor can't do that, but most employees can. Most GMs can, people in the field, people in an office, people in my role will work 24/7. I've chosen to do that. I get paid well for it. It is still an exchange of value. But for you, when you leave, when you GMs do your job, do your last, routing and dispatching and close the door and turn off the light, you go home and you be this other person. You live your life and do your thing and set your goals. You don't whine about what happened at work and that you didn't get any glory. If you work in an office, if you work in software, let's say you're an engineer and you're never seen, you're working the back end of something, your name will never be heard. The engineers that work behind Mike will never be heard. You'll never know their name, but you benefited from something they did in Copilot. It will never be their name on anything. It'll be Mike Andes. All of our team that works on Copilot, except for a few spokespeople at the top, operation manager, all the CPO and all of CTO and all of them, their names might be mentioned because they're the people working side by side with Mike all the time, but it's not, they are getting exchange of value as well. So they should never be like, oh, Mike didn't give me credit. They're just doing what I'm doing. They're just getting stuff done. In all of that, they're creating a way for you to keep moving up. So when you feel that thing, like that anger and frustration that you aren't getting the credit and that you work so hard, give it a decade. Give it a decade. I was not able till last year. So I've worked with Mike for 9 years. I wasn't able to go to anything. I worked those 14 hours a day. I would be there in the morning to get the crew started. And as time went on, I got an office assistant, and then I moved other people in and moved on to other roles, like I said. But over time, I have been able to do more to build my personal skills outside of the company. I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave the office to go to the bank. I couldn't leave the office to go to the store early, like I was explaining earlier. You're so locked in and there's no help. So you have to work hard, and you think, man, it would help me so much to go to a leadership conference. Wow, it would help me so much to be at something where I was with other women in business and to be encouraged, strengthened, and to come back and hop in. But there was no way I could do that. Last year, 8 years after I was at Augusta, I paid for myself to go to a women's event, and I left the office for 2 days, and I was able to go, and it was with a very humble attitude, knowing that there are people behind me that won't have that opportunity for a long time. And so I took pictures. I took notes. I wanted to bring back to my team what I had learned because they can't go yet. And so it was the first women's assembly that Echelon Front had put on. And then I have planned to go on to different things. It's not until I build a team, learn to delegate, trust people, give them autonomy in departments to build things, put a person in charge, trust that they're going to handle it well. That is a massive amount of change that has had to happen to me through the years to let the stuff go and to trust my team, and then to build a team that I can trust. I gave it a decade. It's been almost a decade before I could ever leave my office. And it's just because there's multiple businesses that we've built. It would have been years ago if I had been just at the shop, but now I'm doing other things. And so I was honored to be able to go. And I don't take that for granted, and I don't take it lightly. I'm also very aware that people on my team in leadership positions, I have an admin team, I have personal assistants, I have an entire office of agents offshore and local. And they are going to watch that and they're going to be like, how come I can't get to do it? But they've worked for me for a year. They've like barely been there a minute, and they're going to want to do things like that. So this GM I was talking about earlier, it's not a place that they've earned a right to be yet. And so don't be angry, frustrated, or jealous. I can't tell you not to be, because you will. But learn to categorize that and to be okay with it, and to know that you're going to get there. You're not going to get there if you job hop, and you're not going to get there if you gossip or tear other people down, throw people under the bus, and you're definitely not going to get anywhere if you talk bad about the boss. Get on the team with them, get behind them, study them like crazy, take stuff off their plate. If things need to be done, just go quietly take care of them. And then when they need to go take care of it, they're like, whoa, this was taken care of. Or, wow, these trucks look great. Or, oh, this employee's over there explaining to the other one about his P for P. I didn't tell him to do that, but there he is explaining it, talking about efficiency, telling them about the systems, listening to audibles, making themselves better. Before I had the opportunity to do that starting last year, it was years and years and years and thousands of hours of content coming into me and changing myself to build skills, which I'll talk about this at the summit, building skills for where you want to be next. And I'm still doing that. I know where I want to be next. I know what I want to do in the company. I am looking at people ahead of me, and the things I don't like, I will never do. The things that are good, I implement. And I don't idolize a single person. I just know who's ahead of me, and I'm going to do my best to glean from them, learn from them, not judge or be critical, but just take what I can and implement it. So if you are an office staff and you feel like you are not getting credit for something you do, it's just the way it is, but you're getting money. So don't worry about that. I promise you, you don't want the responsibility of someone like Mike Andes going through bug hell. You don't. I saw that. I see that, and I see the struggle, and I see the massive amount of money that's poured out, and I see that this person cares about people. They want to change the professionalism in the landscape industry, and now that has moved on to all blue collar workers. So come to our Blue Collar Summit. We are going to pour ourselves out to make an amazing event for all the attendees. So please come January 16 to 18. And we've taken your feedback from all the other years. We've taken things we've learned from other events, and we plan to make it spectacular for you. The event that I'm going to go to next, I just came back from acquisition.com, and you can listen to kind of my synopsis of that. But next month, Nick, Lee, Mike, and myself will be going to the Muster. And that is something that Jocko puts on, just a couple events a year. They sell out really fast. And it is an event for leaders. And I surprised Lee and Nick, and I bought their tickets, and I was like, we're going. And this is our leadership team. And Nick is fanboying hard. He's super excited. So we actually set goals because they do PT. They do physical training in the morning at 4:45 in the dark. And it's not going to be easy. We're going to be there with a bunch of soldiers. And I told the guys, you better get in shape so that you can actually enjoy this. So we'll tell you all about that later. But we set our goals and our training goals, fitness goals, weight loss goals, or whatever, so that we can have a blast when we go there. So we're going to learn some jujitsu, and we are going to be better leaders when we leave. Every one of our roles, we will be better for everybody we serve. We'll be better for the franchisees. We'll be better for their employees, because we are employees and yet we're leaders. We have positions in our company of leadership. And so all of us will take notes on our different levels, and you'll have 4 people coming back better. And yes, maybe you can't go. You couldn't go with me to acquisition.com. I was given a unique opportunity, but I am different because of it. Everything I learned, I'm pouring back into other people. So as you move up in life, bring people with you. All the information you get and the training and everything you get, keep giving it out, like moving the ball down the field, making other people's lives better. If you've been through some hardship in life, you know what I'm talking about. And you know if somebody gave you a leg up, said one nice thing, gave you a little bit of advice, or took the time with you that they didn't really have to and gave you a leg up. I'll be talking about that at the summit too. Let's just learn, give, pour back out. And I am so excited to tell you about that when we come back, everything we learned, what we implement. I will interview the guys, but I just want to encourage owners today to give it a decade. Get in there, grind. Try not to whine too much, but just cry when you got to, but just keep moving forward. Even if you feel like you're not seeing results, at least you're going to the doctor less if you're getting fit and eating healthy. and there'll be all kinds of changes and crazy stuff in your body and in your business and all of this stuff, but it's just life. Like, enjoy the journey. Don't just be like, oh, I'll be happy when I get there. Enjoy the people along the way with you and grow and change. And life is good, people. And I'm looking forward to learning and growing so much more with all of you. I hope this was a tiny bit helpful. And if you have somebody that you think it might help who's struggling with that, just one last thing. I had an employee, and we built a system at Command Center. And when it went live and we implemented it, that employee was so upset that they were not mentioned. And the person, Mike had said, thanks to Liz and Command Center who did this. And that person was livid. And I explained to them, if it goes bad, nobody's going to mention your name. All the bad words and complaints are going to come on Liz. You don't want them to say, so-and-so is the big instigator of building this thing. And they're like, oh, well, I could have handled it. No, they couldn't have. When you have a whole bunch of people angry at you when a system goes down. So just keep that in mind. And all in all, if the whole thing goes down, then it's pressure on Mike. So puts me in a good place to still be an employee, not have the weight of it all, but just be supportive. So hang in there, everybody. And remember that we're always better together. Have a fantastic day. Now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off and minimize my screen. There we go. Love you all.